Shabbat Shalom, family, glory and honor to our Father, Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, the giver of the covenant to Israel, and the creator of the Shabbat. Glory and honor to his name and to his only begotten Son, Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, of the 12 tribes of Israel, the soon returning King of the house of Jacob, who is now our high priest, interceding on our behalf before the Father, that we might receive the perfect righteousness from the Father and the forgiveness of all our sins through the sacrifice of Messiah. Glory and honor to Messiah Hawashah. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh. Greetings to the 12 tribes, as the Bible describes, now scattered, a nation scattered into the four corners of the earth, who in their scattered state are now awakening in their scattered state. Greetings. And to the 144,000 who are also scattered into the four corners of the earth, and who are now also being called as the forerunners, as it were, of the Messiah and the establishment of the Messianic kingdom soon to come. Greetings. And to the precious souls among the children of Shem, the children of Ham, and the children of Yafet, that are not of the ordained and chosen bloodline of Jacob, but are through the blood of the Hebrew Messiah, the Messiah of the house of Jacob, have been welcomed, greeted, and accepted in the beloved. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Arkawan Banya, Brother Diamond Holders, Sister Isha Shama, and Brother Frankie. Only One Way, Brother Brandon Beckman and his family. Look, Gary Joseph, Brother Superstar, Brother Wade, J House, Sister Wade, Kyra Cross, Yafi, Brother Stephen Kelly, Brother Yakoba Ben Israel. I hope I ain't create too much trouble for you, Brother Yakoba, with that mention of the video that you shared. And I hope it was as blessing to anybody else that saw it as it was for me. We are continuing our study in the book of Revelation and looking about where we are and where we're going. That's what we're studying, brethren. The Bible tells us the revelation of Jesus Christ, or Yahushua Messiah, that the Father Yah gave unto him to show unto his servants things that must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Now, we have studied the four beasts that we saw in Daniel 7, and we are seeing now the conglomeration in the fourth beast. And let's make that clear. And after we do that today in Revelation chapter 13, after we do that, what we're going to do is really focus on what is the purpose of it? What is going on? Why is it going on? And when you understand that basic foundational principle on this subject, you will understand a lot clearer what's going on the earth now while we are sitting here. Because, brethren, we are in the last years of Babylon. And I mean the final years of his existence. I want to show you something in Revelation chapter 16. Now we're going to get to 16, obviously, eventually, but I want to show you, I'm going to give you a highlight. I'm going to give you a little highlight of Revelation chapter 16 in the seventh plague. The seventh plague of Revelation 16. Now, the seventh church, the seventh seal, the seventh trumpet, and the seventh plague all come at the same time. Let's take a look at the seventh plague. Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16, verse 17. Revelation chapter 16, verse 17. Oh, yes. I have a little praise report of my dad just before we get started. Thank you, Ruel, for the blessing. So I woke up this morning at 2 a.m. and I could not sleep. I mean, I was wide awake like I am right now. And I was up, and then time came. I had to sign into work by 8 o'clock. I did that. I had an 8:45 meeting, a 9:15 meeting. I did my next video this morning, and I was up. And the whole night, my father and my stepmother were on my mind. It was bothering me, their finances. And I was like, why can't I get this off my mind? And finally, I think I prayed, of course. And then maybe around 7 a.m., I got some peace and some answers from the Father with the things that were concerning me. So I called the CNA that was to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. A CNA comes in at 8, she leaves at 10. Another one comes in at midday, and another one comes in the evening. So I called the morning one, and I was discussing her some plans for my father's, just monitoring him in certain areas. And she said to me that he was up when she came in, and he had phlegm, and she put him on his side and patted his back until the phlegm came out. He didn't want to eat. Then this evening, I'd say maybe it was about 6 or 7, my stepmother calls me and said, your father is asleep and won't wake up. He usually gets up to eat. We're trying to wake him. He won't wake out of his sleep. So I came to the house. My wife and I came to the house tonight. This is tonight. And I came into his room and I said, what's going on? She said, well, he's been up since 2 o'clock this morning. So I went into his room, and he was on his side. He was drowsy, like half in it. And I said, Pop, are you okay? And I touched him, and his whole head, and I realized when I touched him, it was wet. And his whole head, his face, his body, his shirt. And my wife, then I said, he's wet. And my wife touched the covers, and everything was wet. And so I called the emergency nurse. I didn't call the hospital. You first call it when you're in. My father's in hospice care. You call the hospice care first. I called, explained what was going on. They were sending out a nurse practitioner. In the meantime, the CNA and my wife changed the whole bed, changed the sheets, changed his clothes, changed his diaper, wiped him down. And then all of a sudden, he started feeling better. And the nurse asked me, said, what does he feel like? I said, he felt clammy. I said, he won't wake up, but he feels clammy, like somebody that just had a fever that broke. And she said he probably had a fever, but he didn't have it at 2 a.m. He must have gotten it in the afternoon, because the morning nurse said, after she patted him, he was in good spirits and everything was fine. But then, like me, at about 3 o'clock today, it hit me and I fell asleep. On this couch behind me, I fell right out. Because I hadn't been sleeping. I hadn't slept. And my father also fell asleep. And then when I got there and I found that he was clammy and he was wet, what happened after they changed him, he started to arouse. He asked for something to drink, and they gave him a little bit of juice, and he woke up and he was up. And apparently he had some sort of fever that his body was trying to fight off. When the nurse came in, she patted him on the back. The phlegm came out. And then when I came into his room, he was up. He was his normal self. And I went to the store. I had to go to the store to get him some juice. He was completely out of juice. And I went and get him some juice. That's the only thing he'll drink is the juice. So I bought him some juice, and I had the bag that I bought. I reuse those material bags. And he said, what's that you got in your hand? I said, man, it's the bag I used to bring your juice. I said, I came here yesterday. You had juice. Not today. You ain't got no more. And he just laughed. He shrugged his shoulders. But he was good. And I realized that the Most High was trying to show me from the nurse this morning. I happened to call her, but it wasn't so happy. I woke up at 2 a.m. He was trying to show me he got it. And I knew it, but in just like you, that you trust the Most High, the Most High got you, but sometimes he's got to show you anyway, right? Sometimes he's got to show you. And by all of this that happened, he was telling me, I got you, Dad. I got it. You ain't got to worry about it. And like I said, I'm not as sad as I was earlier. And I realized the sadness was in my heart. I didn't feel right leaving him at that rehab. I didn't feel right when he was at that that independent living place. I didn't like it. I just thought it was the right thing to do. But now that he's in a house and he's nearby, like he's actually exactly 6 minutes. I drive 6 minutes at 30 miles an hour and I'm at his house. And so he's right here, and I know he's here, and he's got nursing care. We're trying to work out the nursing care with, based on what we can afford and what he needs, but it's working out, and everything is good. And so that's what, he was just showing me. He needed to wake me up this morning to have all of this happen to show me I got your dad, and he does. And I praise the Most High. So I want to thank you all for your prayers, your thoughts, your well wishes for my pops. He was, when I left him, he was sitting up watching Gunsmoke or something and drinking his juice. So he was good, So I thought about it and I said, you know what? No matter what happens, I know he's in a good place. I know the Most High got him. I know the Most High heard my prayers. He heard your prayers. Thank you very much. And so, that was the praise report. Also, I think I mentioned to you, my wife's brother was in a coma. Well, he's out the coma. He's up. He's alert. He's getting better rapidly from being in a coma, from having had brain surgery only about 3 weeks ago. And so the Most High is really taking care of these people. And we praised him. We give him praise and honor and glory for all he has done for us and all he continues to do for us that we do not deserve, that we can't even count the number of blessings that he bestows upon us. So yes, I just wanted to share that with y'all because you guys have been praying also. And because you have been praying, you are also partakers in the blessing that came on my father. So I praise the Most High for you. So Revelation chapter 16, beginning at verse 17. Revelation chapter 16, beginning at verse 17. I want you to notice Babylon's position here. Okay, this is the key. I want you to notice what happens to Babylon. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before Yahweh, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed Yah because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. So you see, it said, great Babylon came in remembrance. What does that mean? It will, from this point, it will no longer exist. And this is the thing. Revelation chapter 19. Babylon is run, as we're going to read in Revelation 13, and as we saw in Revelation 17, Babylon is being controlled by the beast and the woman that rideth her, right? And these, the beast and the woman that rides the beast, are set up and given power and authority from the devil himself. Okay, so that the earth, the Bible says, worships the beast. And we're going to see that. Okay, so what we're going to see is an astounding statement I'm going to make. 99% of the earth worships the devil and doesn't even realize. If you're in a religion that's in one of the majority religions on the earth, you're worshiping the devil. And one of the reasons we know this is because the majority is lost. It's only a remnant that's going to be saved. We'll go over that. So when we talk about today, the purpose of the beast. Revelation chapter 19, though. Revelation chapter 19. So you'll see the beast and the false prophet, which represents the United States and Christianity. That's the false prophet. Okay. You'll see that. And the 3 Abrahamic religions. Let's look at this. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19. Going to begin at verse 11 and go down to verse 21. Revelation chapter 19, verse 11 to verse 21. And as we mentioned on Wednesday night, I want to mention it here today, and we're going to talk more about this. Anything that's man-made is going to be destroyed. Only thing that's going to last are things in perfect righteousness and truth made by the Father himself. Anything, organizations, businesses, buildings, religions that are man-made will be annihilated. And the only thing that will last are things made or remade by the Father. Okay? We'll talk more about that. But here, Revelation chapter 19, beginning at verse 11 and going down to verse 21. And a person's belief in that statement will determine a long way if they're going to fulfill the destiny of the regime, the destiny of the chosen. Okay? Person's belief in that statement. Revelation chapter 19 from verse 11 to 21. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. I want you to notice too, when you see a white horse, it's always representing the Father and the Messiah and the kingdom. Okay, white horse, like the first. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which are in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, clean and white. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. Nations. First quiz question of the night. Translation for nations. Testing. That I'm asking you. Quiz question of the night. Translation for nations. What's the translation? Smite the nation. That's right. Thank Diamond Holdings, Jacoba. Praise the Most High for the saints. Nations means Gentiles. This is a Hebrew Israelite kingdom. He's going to smite the nations. And the only ones saved are those that are accepted of the Israelite kingdom from the nations, being, as we know, grafted into the olive tree. And the nations are going to have people that are redeemed run them. And I can tell you now, the people that are now poor and oppressed will be kings and queens in the kingdom. Because the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Okay. Verse 15, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Al Shaddai. And hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Most High, that you may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains and the flesh of mighty men and the flesh of horses and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, which he deceived them that received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth. And all of the fowls were filled with their flesh. This is the last time you see Babylon. See, in the second resurrection, there's no more Babylon. There's no more beast. There's no more false prophet. The system, and that's what I'm saying, we're living in the last years of the history of this system. And when I mean the last years, as it said, it will be in remembrance before the Most High. It will be cast and its leaders cast into a lake of fire. They will never come back. It will never come back. Babylon will cease to exist. And when the kingdom of Messiah is established, the Bible says, I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man what Yah has prepared for them that trust in him. Also, Isaiah chapter 65, notice what it says in Isaiah 65. Isaiah chapter 65, watch this. Isaiah 65, and we got Revelation as a witness to this as well. So we have at least two witnesses, but I'm sure there's more. Isaiah chapter 65, Isaiah 65, watch this. Isaiah 65, verse 17 and 18 and 19. Isaiah 65, verse 17, 18, and 19. Isaiah 65, 17, 18, and 19. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. Now watch this part. And the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. That's a very powerful statement. Babylon will not exist, and we won't even remember it when we see the glory of the Messianic kingdom. We won't even remember it. The former shall not be remembered, nor come to mind. All of the scars and the pains and the heinous things that have been done to some of us, it will not be remembered nor come to mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create, this is fathers, this is a Hebrew Israelite prophet speaking father's words. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. So when he says he creates, this is not a man-made brick and mortar city. This is made by the Father. As I said, there is nothing that man has lifted his tool on that's going to survive. There's no business. There's no religion. There's no invention that man has made that will survive. Everything in the kingdom will be made by Father Yah. And then anything built, the Bible said we will build houses in heaven, will be made by us who are sealed in perfect righteousness. And the glory will be such that the former will not be remembered nor come to mind. So the end result of the beast and Babylon is non-existence. They won't exist anymore. And we won't even remember them anymore. Okay? That's where we're headed. Praise the Most High. That's where we're headed. Okay? So that's the end result. And that's, brethren, important. Right there, this part so far, very important for us to understand. So that when you, whatever you see on the earth, it's like somebody just said it, Brother Stephen Carey, this world is temporary. That's right. The world to come is eternal. This is temporary. And the only things that are going to be translated from here to there are things made by the Father, like a new birth, a new mind, a new body, a new spirit. Like a couple that's been brought together by the Father. Like love and righteousness and truth, that will translate. That will translate. But nothing man-made, nothing that came from sin will translate. It won't make it. Okay? Praise the Most High. Only us who have been cleansed and born in the Father's Spirit and trusting in His Word, well, that's going to make it. That's going to be forever. Okay? And so that understanding, no matter what you see on the earth, no matter how heinous and how evil, and we see evil every day on this planet, you and I know, it's not forever. It's not going to make it into the kingdom. And this is why I say it's so exciting to understand. We are within just a few years, 7 years on the inside, 9 years on the outside of it all coming to an end. That's very stupendous, of it all coming to an end. Like this morning, I'm managing my father's finances and managing all their bills and everything. And I was concerned. I was waking up worrying about the money, how we're going to make it last and how we're going to take care of him. And my wife got up later this morning, like we were talking about it, and we were talking about, and I said, like I told her, I said, I want to make sure it lasts 4 or 5 years, because after that, after that, it don't matter no more. Okay. And that's how close we are, brother. That's how close we are. Okay. Very close. This is just about over. And that's why we are blessed, you and I, to be coming to this truth, to be coming into this truth, the truth of the faith of Messiah, which is the perfect righteousness of the Father and the messianic kingdom, the house of Jacob, soon to be established. The disciples asked him, "Wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel?" It is not for you, he told them, to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath in his own power. Well, brethren, let me tell you, it's for us. It's for us to know. Praise the Most High. And here we are. Here we are. Okay, here we are. So here we go, brethren. Here we go. All right. So let's go back to Revelation 13, where we finished. We went for 4 verses. We went 4 verses. Yeah, it's almost over. That's why you're starting to see, people like a Donald Trump win in Iowa. And you're starting to see people don't care what he said or what he's done or voting for him. This is, you see, brethren, very basic principle here. The Father has a kingdom. The devil has established his own kingdom. What we're looking at here, where we're at right here, right now, where we sit, is in the kingdom of the Gentiles. This is their kingdom. Okay? With all of its death and rape and greed. This is their kingdom. This kingdom was made for them by their master. And it's temporary. Okay? It's temporary. This is their kingdom. And that's why we should not be caught up trying to keep up with them. Don't get caught up trying to be like them. That's why it kills me when I hear, this is why we don't have no money as black people. No, we don't have no money because this ain't our kingdom. The money don't even have our face on it. It has their face on it. We don't create that. They create that. Again, dollar bills are man-made. So what's going to happen to them soon? Everything man touched is polluted. We're going to talk more about that. Okay, everything man touched, put his hand on, is polluted. And it must be destroyed or cleansed, which is why he has chosen for us the furnace of affliction. Why? Because the heat purifies, doesn't it? The heat purifies. He has I've chosen for you, Israel, the furnace of affliction. Okay? But we're going to come out as gold. That's what Job said. When he had tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Those that don't come forth as gold just be melted. Praise the Most High. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 4. Revelation chapter 13, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 4. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? You see, again, it's a counterfeit kingdom. The Father and Messiah continually, when he was on the earth as a man, becoming the sacrifice for sins of his people, continually talked about what? The kingdom of heaven is like. Right? The kingdom of heaven is like. The kingdom is like. The kingdom is this. He kept talking to us about, and he was talking about his Father's kingdom. And he told Pilate, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight, but my kingdom is not from hence. Okay? Because this is the kingdom of the Gentiles. It's the kingdom of the devil. It said it right there. All the world wondered after the beast. And it said the dragon gave him power, seat, and authority. And it said, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And we know that, let's go back. Matter of fact, we know Daniel chapter 7. We've already studied this. We're just reviewing Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. We see the four empires that Zechariah was told are the four horns that scatter Judah and Israel. Okay, we know them. Okay, let's look at them in Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 4 and going down to verse 8. The first was like unto a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like unto a bear. And it raised itself up on one side. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So now, a couple things. We've already saw that Daniel chapter 2 explained to us that the first beast, the lion, that was the first kingdom, and he told Nebuchadnezzar that would be Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2, verse 37. Actually, let me start at verse 36. Daniel chapter 2, verse 36 down to verse 39. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for Yahweh of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven, he hath given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and a third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And of course, we know there's also a 4th kingdom. Let me get a second witness for this, just so that we have 2 witnesses in terms of that first kingdom being Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon. Let's look at this. This would be Jeremiah chapter 43. You know, when the Most High sometimes want me to say something, I just open up to it. Just what just happened. I just opened up to it. Jeremiah chapter 43. Jeremiah chapter 43. Let's see, where would I start here? I'm going to start at verse 10. Jeremiah chapter 43, verse 10. Verse 10 and 11. And say unto them, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Most High of Israel, behold, I will send and take Nebuchadrezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will set his throne upon these stones that I have hid, and he shall spread his royal pavilion over them. And when he cometh, he shall smite the land of Egypt and deliver such as for death to death, and such as for captivity to captivity, and such as for the sword to the sword. So he tells them Nebuchadnezzar is going to be given Egypt, and then all other nations. As you read other, he says the same thing about all the other nations. So Nebuchadnezzar was the head of gold. Nebuchadnezzar was king of Babylon. Babylon was founded by Nimrod. Nimrod was the son of Cush. Cush is the son of Ham. Let's say that again. Babylon was founded by Nimrod. Nebuchadnezzar was king of Babylon. Babylon was founded by Nimrod. Nimrod was the son of Cush. Cush was the son of Ham. Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan were the four sons of Ham, known as the dark-skinned people. The dark-skinned people. Okay? Right? And Egypt, real name is Mizraim in the Bible. The Bible calls it Mizraim after the son Mizraim. Okay? And Alexander changed it to Egypt because they discovered it. Okay? But Ham was the first kingdom that put his hands on Israel. After that, Daniel chapter 8, he shows a goat and a ram. Daniel chapter 8, let's take a look at this. Daniel 8, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 9. Daniel 8 from verse 1 to 9. So in Daniel 8, Babylon has passed from the scene because you got the third year of Belshazzar, which is the last king of Babylon, of the kingdom of Babylon. So let's take a look. Daniel chapter 8 from verse 1 down to verse 9. In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw, that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had the two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come closer to the ram, and he was moved with choler or fury or rage against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore he waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. I want you to notice the goat, the ram was great. The he-goat was very great, but the little horn was exceeding great. Now, why? Because the ram had a geographic territory, but the he-goat had an even bigger geographic territory. But the little horn was covering the whole earth, exceeding great. Okay? Now watch. We already know the head was Babylon. What was the next one? The bear. Next kingdom, the silver. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 20, down to verse 25. Daniel chapter 8 is going to tell us from verse 20 to verse 25. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So now we know Babylon's first, Medes and Persians second. We know the lion is first, Babylon. The bear is second, raising up on one side, Medes and the Persians. The rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So now the leopard with the four heads is Greece. Greece and Medes and Persians have something in common that's different from the head of gold. The head of gold was from Ham, but the Medes and the Persians and the Greeks were the children of Japhet. Verse 22. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance, that's the little horn, and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall practice and prosper, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. The prince of princes is Messiah. Okay. The fourth one, the little horn, is Rome, as we can see in Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. Luke chapter 2, beginning at verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. So this power is a worldwide power because he said all the world should pay taxes. Caesar Augustus was an emperor of Rome. Okay? Caesar is Rome. So Caesar, let's work backwards. The Greeks and the Medes and the Persians are children of Japhet. The beast is a compilation that is led by the woman who is the little horn, who is from Japhet. Therefore, this kingdom that we now live in, that's temporary, that belongs to Asatan, is led by his chosen people. I know that's hard to receive, isn't it? Father has a chosen people, and Asatan and his counterfeit kingdom, he's got a chosen people. And they're all from Japhet. Isn't that amazing? And they shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Shouldn't they? Isn't that what Noah said? And Yah shall enlarge Japhet, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Got enough witnesses to understand? So now when you're looking at the earth, now you should understand why things are how they are. The children of Japhet rule this earth. And the devil has his chosen people. And guess where they are? On the land that used to be occupied by our fathers. That's Asatan's chosen people. This is his kingdom. And above them, he has the little horn. which is based in Rome. Okay, so don't be surprised at all of the things that you see, because this is their kingdom. And it ain't going to last long. And they know it. See, that's why they're tripping right now. That's why they're tripping. They're going crazy over Donald Trump. They're trying to cling on to any semblance of white supremacy that they can. It's almost over. The time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. They just don't know it yet. You see, brethren, decisions are made by the Father way before you see them exercised. We have been chosen by the Father before the foundation of the earth, before you were even thought about. You realize in 1844, none of us were born, and yet there was a delay based on us. Isn't that amazing? There was a delay in the Messiah finishing his high priestly work based on us who didn't even exist yet. Because the Father calls things as if they were before they are. And so here we are, fulfilling his word. So now, we talked about who the beast is, where it comes from. Now let's talk about its purpose. Going back to Genesis. Genesis again, chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. Actually, let's go back to chapter 1 first. Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. Let's go back there first. At the creation of man. Okay? At the creation of man. So let's go Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 down to verse 31. Genesis chapter 1, from verse 26 to verse 31. And Yah said, let us make man in our image. That is, after the image of the Father and the image of his only begotten Son, who hadn't been begotten yet at that time and yet existed. Messiah said, I was before Abraham. He said, I was before Abraham. Okay. The Bible said in Micah, his going forth shall have been from of old, from everlasting. So when he said, let us, it's him and Messiah and all the angels watching. Job showed us that. All the angels watching. And when he would speak something, the Bible said they would rejoice. They would shout for joy when they see him make stuff. Can you imagine? Genesis chapter 1 from verse 26 to verse 31. And Yah said, let us make men in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Yah created he him. Male and female created he them. And Yah blessed them. And Yah said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And Yah said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which upon the face of all the earth, and every tree into which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to every thing that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And Yah saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So the Father creates the earth, everything in it. He creates man and woman. He gives them a diet made of stuff that grew out the earth. Now, I know I used to do this. I said, oh, well, then we should go back to the fruit-based diet, because that was Adam's diet. I found out, brethren, the hard way, you can't do that in Satan's kingdom. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the fool done poisoned all the food. He done set insecticides on all the food. He has caused the earth to be denatured. He has messed it up so that if you try to eat Adam's diet in this earth, eventually you're going to get sick. That's why. And as we've seen in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, the Father, understanding where this earth was headed, gave us a diet that would help us stay healthy through this system. Because he saw it was coming. But don't worry. When he cleans it up, we're going to go back to that. Don't worry. He's going to clean it up. See, he said, I'll create a new heaven and a new earth, and the first shall not come to mind. Nobody remember? Okay, he's doing that. Okay. Now, he makes Adam and Eve. Let's make an assumption. I'm going to make an assumption here. Are you ready for my assumption? Here's my assumption. Adam and Eve realized they were created. Like they didn't have to have a Big Bang theory or an evolutionary theory. Like they knew they were created. Is that a good assumption? And they knew who their father was. Can we say that? Adam and Eve were aware who their father was. They knew he created them. They knew they came from his hand. And everything the Father made was perfect. Couldn't add to it. There was nothing they could do to make the earth better. There was nothing they could do. It was made perfect from the Father's hand. There was no working out that Adam needed to do. There was no treadmill that Eve needed. Everything was done perfect. Animals didn't kill each other. Adam wasn't afraid of nothing. There was no such thing as fear. Think about that. There was no such thing as fear. There was no such thing as greed. There was no such thing as death. There was no such thing as a lie. None of these things existed. Okay. Having an understanding who their daddy was, having an understanding what he gave to them in terms of this whole earth, they set about to live. That's all he gave them. He gave them certain commands. And the most prominent of them was, you can eat of all these trees that you want. Every tree out here, you can eat as much as you want. Do not eat the tree that's in the midst of the garden. Because the day you eat that tree, you're going to die. You will cease to exist. Now, for you and I, when the Father say, you're going to live forever, we can theoretically and by faith understand that. But we really don't know what it feels like. Right? So Messiah say, I'm going to give my people eternal life. You can believe that. That means we're going to continue to exist forever. And Daniel says, even forever and ever and ever. We can believe that because we believe the Father. But we believe it through faith. Because what do we actually see every day? We see sickness, disease, and death every day. So we know that by experience. We see sickness, disease, and death. We see fear. We know that by experience. So now let's talk about Adam. He knew eternal existence by experience. He knew what it felt like to never be tired, to never get old, to be strong. And I mean strong. He knew what that felt like. So for the Father to tell him, don't eat of this tree or you will die, he had to believe that because he didn't know what death was, didn't experience it, could only just believe what his Father told him. Y'all get that? Now, for such a tree to even exist, there had to already be a fallen devil. Y'all got that? The tree wouldn't even exist unless there was a fallen devil. Had to be. If he wasn't fallen, that tree wouldn't be needed. Because why was it there then? Because man must be given the ability to choose who he's going to believe and who he's going to worship. The Father didn't make Adam worship him. Adam was aware who his daddy was, though, just like you and I, when we are fortunate enough to, and unfortunately in this world, many of us never met our dad. That's how evil this world is. That's how much hatred there is from the children of your fed system against us. When you understand, some of you who have not met your earthly father, remember that. That's this system that did that. Yes, maybe he was a scoundrel. Maybe he was a drug dealer. Maybe he cheated on your mama. Maybe he had a whole bunch of babies, but this system created him. Remember that. But anyway, I'm fortunate enough to know who my daddy is, to live near my daddy, to see him. That's my father. I know I came from him. I know this. You understand? I know I came from him. Adam saw the heavenly Father, saw him, and knew this is where I came. I came from his hand. I came from his hand. Eve could look at Adam and say, I came from his rib. I came from his body. So everybody was of understanding of where they came from. There was no ignorance of that. So now you have this other entity where the Father says, don't eat that one. He commands them, don't eat that one. I'm your daddy. Don't listen to him. Don't eat. You know, you ever have your mom or your daddy tell you something? I don't want to see you down in that part of the neighborhood. I don't want to see you down there. If I see you down there, there's going to be a problem, right? They tell you that. Why? Why? Because they hate you? No, they tell you that because they're trying to what? Protect you. When I was growing up on Long Island, all of the gangsters in my neighborhood came from this city, this town called Wyandanch. Wyandanch, they used to call it short for the Danch. Now, I'm sure it exists now. I've been out there recently. It's completely different. But back then, all of the gangster Hebrews, all of the tough ones, they came from Wyandanch. So my father would tell us, I don't want y'all going to no parties hanging out in Wyandanch. Don't go there. Okay? Don't do it. Now, I had an uncle who was a teenager at the time. He's a few years older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. And I heard my father say to him, listen, wherever you're going, do not go to Wyandanch. It was a Friday night. He said, there ain't nothing but fight and trouble going to happen there. Do not go to Wyandanch. He went. Came home about 3 a.m. with a broken nose. Somebody in Wyandanch, they jumped him, and that was what Wyandanch was known for. They didn't fight one-on-one. Them kids came at you like the Klan with bunches, and they jumped him and broke his nose with a brick. Okay? That's like our Heavenly Father. He's telling us, don't go here. He's telling Adam, don't eat this fruit. Do not do it, or you're going to die. Now, here's the situation. So you got an enemy, and we know the enemy said in Isaiah 14, I will be like the Most High. So the goal of the fallen angel is to be a God. So now he's got to convince Adam that his system of being a God is better than what his daddy gave him. He's got to convince Adam to disobey his daddy. How does he do it? Unfortunately, he used the finest sister that ever existed on planet Earth. He deceived her, and through her, he got to Adam and got them both. So that from this point on, brethren, we're in a situation like this. You and I, if we're going to be saved, we must succeed where Adam failed, which means we must trust our daddy. We must trust our daddy with everything. Why do you think all of the prophets were by themselves? Oh, I'm not talking about not having wives. They did. But I'm talking about had to stand on truth by themselves, even when their wives did not. Like Job. Job's wife said, curse God and die. And he said, you speaking like a foolish woman. Okay? Because we also, having been awakened, have to stand, and you all know, because you've all been doing it. I ain't telling you nothing you ain't done anyway already, where the Father has you by yourself, and it's just you and him in this. That's all. If you were in a Christian church, all your friends and family gone, think you're crazy. You can't go to a camp. So what are you going to do? He got you by yourself because he got you in the word and so because you have got to pass where Adam failed. Okay? Sisters, in seeking to be women of virtue and honor, you will not be the tool that the enemy uses to get to your husband. Why do you think pornography exists? Pornography exists because it degrades the woman, and it makes the man be degraded by degrading her. Some people say, well, sex is a natural act. It is. But to be televised and paraded and made cheap, you see, sex is a high form of two people showing love to each other. But when it's degraded, when it's cheap, when sisters have dozens, scores of brothers and been run through, and then decide, I want to settle down, and wonder why they can't. That's where the perversion comes in. Okay? The Father made it honorable and beautiful because it's not just your bodies becoming one flesh, it's your spirits becoming one flesh. But when it's degraded, the spirits are perverted, they are degraded, and then you come together in a degraded state. And then you have children, and you degrade them too. And you all seen it. I'm not telling you anything you haven't seen or experienced for yourself. But we must pass where Adam and Eve failed. And we will and are being tested on that very thing. So, brethren, Satan created the beast because he wants to be worshipped. He wants the whole earth to worship him. He wants man to believe he can be a god. So he creates man-made institutions. As a nation, let's go over our history for a second, just to contrast that with the devil's kingdom. There was a man from the children of Eber, or the Hebrews, named Abraham. This man was called by the Father from his family. Come out from your family. I'm going to make you a great nation. Abraham believed the spirit of the Father and went and did what the Father told him. And he changed. The Father said, your name is not Abraham anymore. The Father's spirit, the Father's angel said, your name is Abraham. Abraham didn't go to court and say, I think I like this name Abraham better than Abraham, so I want to change my name legally. No. The Father gave Abraham the name Abraham and promised him to be a great nation. Abraham has a son First son he has, Ishmael. He said, no, I ain't chose him. That's from your servant slave, that child. I'll bless him because he's your seed, but they ain't the chosen seed. The chosen seed gonna come from your wife that I've made one with you, Sarai, and I'm changing her name to Sarah. And they laughed. He said, that's what you're gonna name him, to laugh. Father named Abraham, and he named his chosen seed Yishak, to laugh. Yishak had twins at age 60 with Rebecca. He named one Esau or Adam. He named the other one Yaakov, supplanter. Yaakov was the chosen one. Yaakov ended up getting converted on a day when the Father sent his angel and said, your name is not Yaakov anymore. Your name is Israel, Yashar. So let's think about this. We are a nation that was named by the Father, called forth by the Father, determined to be chosen by the Father. Nothing man made. Is that correct? According to the word of the Father. Is that correct? Nothing man made. And in fact, notice Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. Very important principle. Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to begin and this is after the declaration of the covenant. The covenant was declared by the voice of the Father himself to our fathers. They heard the voice of Yahweh. No other people as a nation ever before or since did that. We are the children of the only people in the history of planet Earth to hear the Creator expound his covenant to us. We are the bloodline. That's why it's important that we know that. Exodus chapter 20. I want to start at verse 21 and go down to verse 25. Watch what it says. Exodus chapter 20 from verse 21 to 25. And the people stood far off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where Yahweh was. And Yahweh said unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. That is the top of Mount Sinai, is heaven. Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thine oxen, in all places where I record my name. I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. If thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. For if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Here's a principle. If man does anything and claims it's for the Father, it's polluted. When they started making rules for the Shabbat, it was polluted. When they started making their own rules for the feast, it's polluted. And that's why I tell you, the Jews that say they are Jews and are not, do not take your cues about feasts from them. Do not listen to them about what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. Do not do that. It was not given to them. Their game is polluted. Listen to the word. And listen to the word alone. Anything man touches, especially along religious lines, is polluted. And why? Because when man touches it, he thinks he's a god. It's polluted. So all organized religions, all are polluted. What about us? Well, we are the children of a man that the Father called Israel, of a nation that he promised to Abraham. We are not man-made. And we are scattered, as the Bible prophesied, into the four corners of the earth. So, Asatan will set up man-made organizations. And listen, corporation is a man-made entity, is it not? It's not a corporation, whether it be 501c3 or any other. Is it not a man-made entity? Yes or no? Is it? Is a corporate, did the Bible have corporations in it? I don't know. Was Israel incorporated? So all 501c3 corporations are polluted. All of them. Destined to be destroyed. All of them. Anything that man has created in a religious sense, in a worship sense, polluted. Destined to be annihilated, to never exist again. Okay? I don't care which one it is. It's the SDA, the Mormons, polluted, never to exist again. Will there be souls coming from those organizations that could be saved? Yep. But they must be made new by the Spirit of the Father. They must be born of the Spirit and of the water of the Father, not of their institution. I'll never forget, I baptized some people. Sister Heather and her family, the Mercer family in North Carolina. Man, that was a while ago. I can't even tell you, maybe 15 years ago. Can't even tell you. And boy, all these SDAs came marching up in the sister's property. You can't baptize them. You have to baptize them into the Adventist church. Not realizing what they were saying. They were declaring themselves lost and didn't realize it. By demanding that the people who I was baptizing into the body of Messiah should be baptized into this man-made corporation, not realizing they were speaking on behalf of Asatan. And all man-made buildings, man-made corporations, man-made religions are destined to fail. That is why, brethren, when we're talking about worship, we cannot be dealing with the man-made things. Have to be dealing with the things made by the Most High, with the Spirit that is from the Most High. If we believe that these are his prophets, then these words are from the Most High. The further I got from organized religious bodies, the more clearer my mind became as I was reading the word over and over and over and over and over again and praying to the Heavenly Father. The more I got away from these institutions, the clearer and more free my mind became. And that's why Paul say we are free in spirit. Now, Asatan will have a counterfeit spirit because it comes from a man-made institution. Okay? So he's got his counterfeit chosen people. He's got his counterfeit kingdom. He's got his counterfeit beast. And all the world wanders after it. And it's very easy. All of us, brethren, all of us before we came to this truth, were in some sort of man-made religious system. Whatever it is, even the atheist. Atheism is man-made because there is a God. So for them to say there is no God, that's their man-made belief. So all of us were in some man-made situation before we came to the Creator. So the purpose of the beast is to exalt man and to exalt Asatan's program of man-made institutions and religion. That's the purpose. And if you're worshiping in that system, you are worshiping Asatan because he's the author of it. And before long, even the most faithful saints in those systems will start to excuse the lies that they see. And you and I know it. We've seen it. They start to excuse the lies, the contradictions between the Bible and Ellen White, the contradictions between Joseph Smith and the Bible. All of it are they don't want to deal with the fact that they're contradictions because they got to be faithful to their ship. So you start to believe lies. And brethren, the people, for example, that just voted for Donald Trump, the liar, the soon-to-be convicted felon, the one that grabs the woman by the privates and cheats on his women, that guy, they just showed themselves to be lost souls because they want to ignore truth to justify white supremacy. Cannot be justified. You see, brother, this is the problem that everyone's going to have. When you're standing before Messiah, in his glory, and you're standing before the Father, you cannot lie. You must tell the truth. That's why he said every tongue will confess that Messiah is the Lord. Why? Because you won't be able to lie standing in front of him. That power and glory and truth and righteousness will cause you to tremble and tell the truth. They don't even got to make you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's going to come forth out of your mouth. And so I always tell people, you know what? You might as well come clean out. You want to be really saved? Your church ain't going to save you. Your white Jesus ain't going to save you. They're not. White Jesus is not coming to save you. Because he doesn't exist. Your churches are man-made. Your religions are man-made. They will cease to exist. The only thing that's going to exist is the Heavenly Father. See, and at this point, I can tell you right now, people are thinking at this point, there are those that say, but Dad, my granddaddy was such a good Christian. My mama was so faithful. She can't be lost. She's been a Pentecostal my whole life. Don't worry about that. I don't judge hearts. I can't. Father can judge hearts. Don't worry about that. See, there are a lot of faithful people. There are faithful Muslims that don't know any better. Malcolm X, a faithful Muslim. He didn't know any better. He was a Sunni Muslim. Didn't know any better. Okay? Worship as true as he could. Okay? So it's not for me or you to judge him. William Tyndale, Children of Yafet, come straight out of the Catholic Church and was used to translate this book. 80%. I can't judge him. But I can tell you. I can tell you. If you're starting to believe lies to cover and justify foolishness, you cannot be saved. No liar is going to enter into the kingdom. No liar. Because Satan is the father of lies, and he will not enter into the kingdom, neither will his kingdom last. It's going to be destroyed. Follow the truth as your spirit is convicted. And I'm going to tell you something. I think I got a number of witnesses here when I'm about to say this. If you decide to follow truth, you're going to lose a lot of people you thought was friends. You're going to lose a lot of people you thought was friends if you decide to follow truth. Because when you stand for truth in the word, when you stand for truth in the word, just you standing for the truth cuts people who are believing lies. You ain't got to fight with them. You ain't got to argue with them. You just say, I'm standing for the word, and I don't do this because this is what the word say. That's all you got to say. And boy, you're going to get people mad at you. Because you're following the word, they're following the truth. It cuts against this earth. It cuts against this system. And the majority of the system is in lies. And most people don't even realize it until they see somebody stand in truth. Then they realize it. And they usually get mad and attack. That's what happens. They usually get mad and attack. That's how they respond. Some will repent. Okay, some will see it and say, oh man, let me come Let me come to the truth. I want to come to the truth. You got those, but that's a remnant. That's a remnant. The majority will not. They're going to attack you. Just look at the Trump supporters. I like to use them because they're a perfect example of lost people. The Trump supporters will attack you if you speak truth against Trump. And Trump is a straight liar. Okay, straight swindling con man liar. Okay? But they will defend him because their agenda of white supremacy is in him. And so if you speak against him, you're fighting with them. They'll argue and fight with you. You don't need, even when you're not getting involved with it. That's how it is. So just stick with your father, stick with the truth. The beast power is about deception, is about man being glorified in systems built up by man, right? And it's against the Father, against his covenant, against his people. You think about this. If the Bible says that Messiah is going to rule the house of Jacob, and that's exactly, look, I'm going to show you. Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1. The angel Gabriel is declaring the birth of Messiah to Mary, right? Notice what he said in talking about Messiah. I'm going to start at verse 30. Okay, start at verse 30 and go down to verse 33. From 30 to 33. Luke chapter 1 from 30 to 33. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Yahweh. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name. Now it says Jesus, and we know his name is not Jesus. Yahweh Shai, or Yeshua, or Yeshaya, whatever you want to say that, off that order. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And Yahweh Most High shall give unto him the throne of his father David, king of Israel. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever. Now, how can you say you love Jesus and you hate his people? How can you say, and this is what Christianity has done. What Christianity did, among many things. Listen here. Christianity separated Messiah from his people. That's what they did. They have successfully separated Messiah from his people. And what they did is they created a religion around Messiah that's separate from the house of Jacob. That's what they did. So that you can receive Jesus and have nothing to do or even hatred for his people. So that Christians can come from Europe and put chains around the neck of the Hebrews. Christians can rape the Hebrews. Christians can enslave them and slap them in the head with pictures of a white Jesus and say, this is your God. Because they've separated him from his people. Now, that's not the truth in terms of the true worship of him. How can you worship the Messiah and not be with his people? How can you deny his people and worship him? What makes you think he's going to love you when you don't love his cousins? What makes you think he's going to receive you outside of the nation that it says here he's going to reign over? What makes you think he's going to receive you outside of his nation? But that's what they did. They have separated the Messiah from his people so that there is no connection. Even if you believed, right? Let's say for the sake of argument, you believe that these Ashkenazis from Europe were Yah's people. Well, then you should be there. You should be having curls down the side of your head. You should be having black hats on. You should be having long beards. You should be going to synagogue. If you believe that, because you must be with them. You must be. If you believe they're his, he ain't set you up in no separate. He didn't separate from his people. Paul even said, has he separated from his people? God forbid. So if you claim that these Israelites are his chosen ones. You should be looking like them, dressing like them, worshiping like them. You should be deep into the Talmud. You should have a rabbi. You should have a synagogue. You should be keeping their Sabbath. You should be doing all that. You shouldn't have no separate religion, because Messiah ain't separate you out from his people if they're his people. No, but the true Israelites, the so-called black people, you should be with us. You should be worshiping with us. You should understand who we are, and you should be connecting with us, because you're connecting with our bloodline cousin. That's right, Stephen Kelly. Woo! Lord have mercy upon us. But y'all get what I'm saying. So the beast's purpose is to gather together in one all people in Asatan, in man-made religion, in man-made buildings, man-made institutions. That's the purpose of Asatan's kingdom. By you following truth without even trying, just following truth, you're going to be spit out by Asatan's kingdom. And that's going to be more pronounced as the Father's Spirit is more heavy upon you. And it's going to come soon, brethren. Soon. Okay. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Till tomorrow morning, by the grace of the Most High, about 10 o'clock. Shalom.